Week 22 Day 1. Juxtapose to place side-by-side sense. If we were to juxtapose our philosophies, your materialism would conflict with my idealism. Sense juxtapose verb T, to put things, which are not similar next to each other. The exhibition juxtaposes Picasso's early drawings with some of his later works. Juxtaposition noun. The juxtaposition of two very different cultures. Plight predicament, dangerous situation. Sense the plight of the refugees, who wandered about in a desultory disconnected fashion, moved us to tears. Sense plight condition noun. An unpleasant condition, especially a serious, sad or difficult one. The plight of the poor homeless. Few of us can be unmoved by the plight of the Romanian orphan. Sense plight verb old use or humorous plight. Your troth, to promise to marry. Covert secret, hidden not same as covert exchange. Sense Woodrow Wilson stated that he found covert agreements to be reprehensible. Sense covert adjective, hidden or secret, e.g. covert military operations. Compare, overt noun. Covert, a group of bushes and small trees growing close together, in which animals can hide, especially from people or other animals hunting them. Covertly adverb, secretly, or in a hidden way, e.g. terrorists have been operating covertly in England. Cope, to be a match for, to be able to handle. Sense just, how our club's president is able to cope with so many disparate, totally different personalities is something I'll never understand. Sense coped verb I, to deal successfully with a difficult situation. It must be difficult to cope with 3 small children and a job. The tires on my car don't cope very well on wet roads. He had so much pressure on him in his job, that eventually he just couldn't cope. Incompatibility, quality of being mismated, lack of harmony. Sense Judge Felder commented with asperity, rude manner upon the wife's charge of incompatibility. Sense incompatible adjective, not able to exist or work with another person or thing because of basic differences. When we started living together we realized how incompatible we were. Our interests were so different. Maintaining quality is incompatible with increasing output. Any new video system that is incompatible with existing ones has little chance of success. Incompatibility noun. An incompatibility problem prevents the 2 pieces of software from being used together. Plea bargain, to agree to plead guilty to a lesser charge so as to avoid trial for a more serious offense. Sense the defendant finally took his lawyer's advice and agreed to a plea bargain of 3rd-degree assault. Female alcoholics. When we juxtapose the words woman and alcoholic, many readers are surprised. However, the plight of America's several million female alcoholics is rapidly increasing in intensity. But the statistics are inexact, because it is estimated that there are 9 covert alcoholics for everyone under treatment. Women drink to help themselves to cope with life's vicissitudes, difficulties. They drink because of financial pressures, incompatibility, frustration, and related reasons. Week 22 Day 2. Incapacitated, disabled, made unfit. Sense he was ashamed to admit that a pesky skin rash incapacitated him for weeks at a time. Sense incapacitate, verb T, often passive, to make someone unable to work or do things normally, or unable to do what they intended to do. The accident left me incapacitated for 7 months. Rubber bullets are designed to incapacitate people rather than kill them. Incapacitating adjective, extreme shyness can be very incapacitating. Fabricate, to lie, concoct. Sense Dave's metamorphosis, change from an honest person to one who could fabricate an alibi so adroitly, was amazing. Fabricate verb T, to invent or produce something false in order to deceive. He was late, so he fabricated an excuse to avoid trouble. He claims that the police fabricated evidence against him. Fabrication noun. The evidence he gave in court was a complete fabrication. Connubial, related to marriage. Sense the widow grew maudlin sentimental, as she reminisced about her former connubial bliss. Connubial adjective, 1. Of or relating to marriage or to the relationship between a wife and her husband. Connubial bliss. Conjugal visits adverb 1. In a conjugal manner. Demur, to object. Sense I will have to demur, even if I receive a bona fide genuine invitation to run for the GO council. Sense demur verb ir, formal, to express disagreement or refusal to do something. The lawyer requested a break in the court case, but the judge demurred. Demur noun. Formal, she agreed to his request without demur. Sense appellation name. Sense because he was the scion descendant of the richest family on our block, Lenny was given the appellation of Rockefeller. Appellation noun see formal name or title. Mussolini was known by the more familiar appellation Il Duce. In Appleby order in the order, good condition since the house was in dreadful condition when Mrs. Mosslow arrived, but when she left it was in Appleby order. A profile of the woman who drinks to excess. The typical alcoholic woman is above average in intelligence, in her 40s, married, with 2 children. She started drinking socially in high school or college. Although frequently incapacitated, she can fabricate a story skillfully and thus conceal her true physical condition. She often attributes her alcoholism to connubial stress, boredom, or depression. A large percentage of the women give family histories of alcoholism. Most female drinkers would demur at the appellation of alcoholic, and that makes their treatment all the more difficult. Week 22 Day 3. Escalation in increase, intensification. Since many derogatory statements were heard from those who were opposed to further escalation of the conflict. Since escalate verb I or T, to make or become greater or more serious, the decision to escalate an involvement has been taken in the hopes of a swift end to the hostilities. His financial problems escalated after he became unemployed. The escalating rate of inflation will almost certainly bring escalating prices. Escalation noun C or U. It's difficult to explain the recent escalation in a violent crime. Null indifference, lack of concern. Since with complete indifference toward his personal safety, Lieutenant Regan openly challenged the puissant powerful forces of the enemy. Since indifferent, not interested. Adjective, not caring about or interested in someone or something. Why don't you vote? How can you be so indifferent to what is going on? He found it very hard teaching a class full of indifferent teenagers. Indifference noun U. Many native speakers of a language show indifference towards grammatical points. His attitude was one of bored indifference. Indifferently adverb. She shrugged indifferently. Potential possible. Since the potential effect of the summer's sultry weather was to shorten everyone's temper. Since potential adjective, before noun possible, when the necessary conditions exist, a number of potential buyers have expressed interest in the company. Many potential customers are waiting for a fall in prices before buying. The accident is a grim reminder of the potential dangers involved in North Sea oil production. Potential noun U. Someone's or something's ability to develop, achieve or succeed. The region has enormous potential for economic development. I don't feel I'm achieving my full potential in my present job. Plus to infinitive, you have the potential to reach the top of your profession. I think this room has got a lot of potential, could be very good, if some changes were made to it. Potentially adverb possibly, hepatitis is a potentially fatal disease. This crisis is potentially the most serious in the organization's history. Potentiality noun C or U. Formal null inability for development, achievement or success, which is natural or has not been used, plus to infinitive. The army's potentiality to intervene in politics remains strong. Cumulative accumulated. Sense, when destitution poverty grips an area, there is excellent cumulative for trouble. Sense cumulative adjective increasing by one addition after another. The cumulative effect of using so many chemicals on the land could be disastrous. Cumulatively adverb recondite secret, hidden, obscure. Since the poet's recondite language precluded hinder any understanding of her theme. Recondite adjective formal, not known about by many people and difficult to understand. We had to work from material that was both complex and recondite. Apple-polishing, trying to gain favor by gifts or flattery. Sense, if the way to advancement in this company is through apple-polishing, I quit. Nefarious effects of alcohol. Aside from the reasons offered earlier, doctors have other interesting reasons for the escalation in female drinking. They also indict social acceptance and indifference to alcohol's potential danger as contributory factors. If women realized the harmful extent of the cumulative effect of alcohol, they might taper off in their public and recondite drinking. 43% of the female alcoholics in a survey showed evidence of liver damage, and a quarter of the whole group had a high white blood cell count. Almost 5% of the patients died shortly after their release from the hospital. Week 22 Day 4. Palliate, alleviate, relieve without curing. Since the drugs could only palliate the symptoms, not provide the cure. Verb delude to full sense. We must not allow fulsome praise to delude us about our actual ability. Sense delude. Verb t, to make someone believe something that is not true, to deceive, or he's deluding himself, if he thinks he's going to be promoted this year. Deluded adjective, believing things that are not real or true. Poor deluded girl, she thinks he's going to marry her. Prelude. Introduction. Sense as a prelude to his performance, the bullfighter vowed to do penance, atonement of sins for his sins. Sense prelude. Introduction. Noun c, usually singular, something that comes before a more important event or action, which introduces or prepares for it. The changes are seen as a prelude to wide-ranging reforms. Sense prelude. Music. Noun c, specialized one, a short piece of music, which introduces the main work. 2. A short independent piece of music written especially for the piano. Chimerical. Visionary, imaginary, fantastic. Sense the scheme sounded chimerical, but we were indoctrinated to believe that it could work. Sense chimera. Noun c, formal, a hope or dream that is extremely unlikely ever to come true. Is the ideal of banishing hunger throughout the world just a chimera? Chimerical adjective. Formal. Acknowledge, admit. Sense Monty refused to acknowledge the extrinsic pressures that were causing him to do poorly in his sophomore year. Sense acknowledge. Sense v, they refused to acknowledge, to recognize officially the new government. Sense please acknowledge receipt of, say that you have received this letter. Sense he didn't even acknowledge my presence. Show that he had seen me. Sense and I applied for 4 jobs, but I've only one had acknowledgement letter saying that my letter has been received so far. Sense NPL. Acknowledgements, a short text at the beginning or end of a book, where the writer names people or other works that have helped in writing the book. The Draconian Code, a very severe set of rules, an Athenian lawmaker of the 7th century BC, prescribed the death penalty for almost every violation. Since the head counselor ran our camp according to his own Draconian Code. Danger signals, a potential female alcoholic should be cognizant of certain danger signals, a using alcohol in an attempt to palliate her problems. B, deluding herself about the extent of her drinking habits. C, drinking at regular time periods, both day and night. D, reliance upon alcohol as a prelude to a major social obligation. E, making unrealistic promises about terminating her drinking. F, using alcohol as a medication for real or chimerical illnesses. If in evaluating her drinking, a woman acknowledged that several of the danger signals applied to her, she should see a physician. Week 22, Day 5. Hair today. The fact that a hair salon might charge $40 for a woman's shampoo and haircut, but only $20 for the same services for a man is a matter of indifference to most citizens. Not so to New York City's Commission on Human Rights, which claimed that such a disparity, noun of disparate, is discriminatory. Commissioner Dennis D. Leon has targeted gender-based pricing as a violation of city law. Consider the plight of the salon owners. They acknowledge the price difference, explaining that it takes much longer to cut a woman's hair and requires the use of additional products. But a spokesperson for the Department of Consumer Affairs said that beauty parlors will have to cope with the situation honestly, just as dry cleaners and used car dealers did when they were apprised of the law. I know that women are fighting for equality, said the owner of a chain of unisex hair salons, but this is ridiculous. We cut a man's hair in no time, but we have to get more money from our female customers, because their styling and cutting takes so much longer. The argument might be the prelude to an important court case. A city proposed settlement, however, is to have those salons that are cited for violations of the law offered free haircuts to women for a period of 3 months, before having to pay a stiff fine for repeated offenses. It's easier to comply, shrugged one owner bald himself.